Good evening. I am your host, Adrian Maddox. Together, we will journey across the cosmos and search for some of the
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Good evening. Welcome back to another Retro Sci-Fi Night at the bar at the edge of the universe. I'm your host, Adrian Maddox, and I actually have a bit of a surprise for you guys tonight. We're going to be doing a double feature, so we're going to be listening to two separate radio shows back to back. So that's going to be kind of cool. Usually we just do one. The first show that we're going to listen to is called First Contact. First Contact first aired... that's kind of a tongue twister. First Contact first aired. Not really a tongue twister, but you know what I'm saying. First aired October 6, 1955. Based on the 1945 novelette by Murray Leinster. It's about two technologically equal species making first contact in deep space. Both desire technology and trade that the other can provide, but neither can risk the fate of the home planet based on unfounded trust. It was among the stories selected in 1970 by the Science Fiction Writers of America as one of the best science fiction short stories published before the creation of the Nebula Awards. It was published in Science Fiction Hall of Fame, Volume 1, and it received the Retro Hugo Award for the Best Novelette in 1996. And it was then adapted into a radio play by Howard Rodman. Actually, well, it was adapted way before these awards, but now all those accolades are for the actual short story itself, not for the radio show. But, I mean, the radio show should still be, it should still be really good, right? Because it's based off a really good story, so. The second show we're going to be listening to, it's called Nightmare. And Nightmare first aired July 21st, 1955. It's based on a poem called The Revolt of the Machines by Stephen Vincent Benet. And there wasn't really any other information I could find about this one. The author's, Wikipedia page didn't even list this as a poem that he wrote, and yeah, I was searching online, I could not really find anything, so it's definitely a lesser known story, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It was on X-1, and so far all the stories that we've listened to have been at least, they've kept our attention for the most part, so there hasn't been any really duds, so I'm excited to hear both, but like I said, I really think that First Contact is going to be the standout, and that is actually the one we're going to listen to first. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and blast off.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3.
Get my drinks ready.
X-1. Fire.
I'm still drinking the same old stuff. White Claw, Fireball, Game of Thrones, Johnny Walker, and the Jack Daniels Single Barrel.
From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future.
Their intro always gets me kind of hyped.
Could be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company in
I can imagine being like a 10-year-old boy during this time begging my mom to let me listen to the radio. And every time I hear that, every time I hear the intro, Mom!
Tonight's story, First Contact by Murray Leinster.
First Contact, here we go.
They had been in space 6 months now, moving with the incredibly faster-than-light speed of the overdrive.
Okay.
In 6 months, they had gone from Earth outward and outward to the crab-like nebula with the twin stars. A routine flight of exploration and scientific research.
Solid
FTL
object,
travel.
about 90,000 miles away, sir.
Located, Dort. Exactly. Identify it.
Let me do some
Small
Fireball
object,
real
sir.
quick.
Captain, I've never seen anything like this before. Whatever it is out there is coming toward us at an incredible speed and retreating to zero just as rapidly.
What's the mass of the object, Dort?
Well, it varies with the
My
distance
eyes.
from us, sir.
Step up the scanners.
Nothing, sir. Absolutely nothing shows out there. And yet there must be something. Those alarms are foolproof.
Action stations, man all weapons. Condition of extreme alert in all departments immediately.
Captain, what is it?
Dort, I ran into the same thing once before.
All right, I'm liking this. This is
We were being
definitely
located
more
by a ship and their locator
more
being
sci-fi-esque than some of the other episodes we've
Every
listened
time
to.
it hit, it registered to something.
I think all of our other episodes actually took place on Earth.
And we're the only Earth ship in 18 light years around.
Now we're in
How?
I
space.
didn't say it was another Earth ship out there, Dort.
Another race?
That's right. There's a spaceship out there, all right. It's not manned by human beings.
First contact.
It had been contemplated and speculated upon. Mathematically, it was almost a certainty that such a race existed. But in 18,000 Earth years,
That's
no human spaceship
kinda
had
true.
ever encountered them. Now the situation was precipitated, and somewhere outside the Earth vessel there was an alien race. Of what shape? Of what quality? Of what psychology?
Yeah, you can't know.
It's moving, sir.
Their way of thinking might not even be like what we think of.
Just what
Like
we'd do if a
their
stranger
minds
appeared in our
could be
hunting
so different than the way
Friendly?
ours works.
Maybe. We'll try to contact them. We have to do that. But friendly. Thank the Lord for the blasters.
They may not be hostile, sir.
Well, they may be. That's what I'm paid for. Put on this job for, to worry about the troubles that may never happen. To all hands, now hear this.
That's true.
A ship is approaching manned by an alien race.
I would want to
Give
be
the signal for attack or defense if it be necessary.
I'd want to be
No
armed
move made
for
unless I
sure.
give the order. I do not wish to provoke trouble. Stand by.
Their ship is slowing down, sir. It stopped.
Weapons Department, report. Weapons Department, report.
Alien ship remarked. Target fixed. Weapons alert.
Communications Department, report. Communications Department, report.
We're receiving a modulated short wave, sir. Frequency modulated. Apparently a signal. Not enough power to do us any harm.
We'll try to make some sense out of it. Report any progress to me immediately.
Okay, so the alien ship sending them a
They
signal.
didn't attack immediately without question. They're trying to establish contact. That seems to indicate they're
Should be
reasonable.
cold now.
We'll see. What are they doing now? Can you make out the locator screen? Bring that power up.
Yeah, they're doing something now, sir. There's a section of the hull open. Probably
That was
an
a
arrow.
bit more than one shot.
Breathe there.
They're letting something out. Oh, it's round. A bomb, sir?
Unknown object released from alien ship. Observed by Weapons Department and targeted.
Stand by.
See what they're doing, sir? They've left the object out there right where they were. And now they're withdrawing the ship.
There's no reason why that object couldn't be a bomb, Mr. Dort. Intended to let us think precisely as you're thinking right now.
Yeah, but
I just have a hunch, sir. think
I
they're-
understand taking like precautions,
whatever it
but
is out there is a
there's
means
also
of-
no reason to think
Right,
that
but I won't gamble the ship on the proper
they
course.
they
Sir,
are
I'd
hostile.
like to
No
volunteer
more
to go out
than
there
there's a
and
reason to
look
think
that
that they
thing over.
aren't. So you really have to go into it with a
Whoever
neutral
does examine it is expendable.
neutral perspective.
Yes.
I guess that's where they have both people
Requisition
on the
a
team.
lifeboat.
If it's all right with
To look
you,
at
sir,
both
I'd prefer
possibilities.
Just a suit with the drive in it. It's smaller and the arms and legs won't make me look like a bomb. And I'll carry a scanner, sir.
You may leave when you're ready.
Thank you, sir.
I'm all ready. Clear the lock and let me out.
Open the airlock.
Weapons Department reporting to the captain. Mr. Dort located. Mr. Dort is targeted.
Stand by. If that object out there is a device to capture one of our people for observation and questioning, it'll be blown out of existence, including Mr. Dort. Stand by.
Anticipation.
Mr. Dort. Mr. Dort. Report.
Object, as you can see on the scanner, sir, is covered with many small horns, like the detonating horns of the obsolete mines formerly used in naval warfare.
Is that their purpose, do you assume, Mr. Dort?
Many small
Find out,
what?
sir.
I didn't quite
I'm
catch
going to
that.
grab one.
Mr. Dort,
I'm here, sir. I don't think this is a mine.
circle it so we can see it completely through your scanner.
Deadlock, sir. Nothing to report that the scanner hasn't shown.
Wait.
Oh, wait a minute, sir. A section
Oh,
of
he
the
doesn't
outer
have a
hull is revealed. Can you
video.
see it?
Very good, Dort. Hold that.
I'm sure it's a communications device, sir.
It looks like it. Fix your scanner so it'll focus on that communications device. Return to the ship.
Maybe he does. Maybe this is called a scanner. I don't know.
Communications Department. Progress report, please.
We've established communication, sir.
Is there a psychologist on the team down there with you?
Yes, sir. Mr. Burns is working with us.
Will both of you please report to the bridge at once?
I wonder what their motivations could be.
We've
The aliens, I
established
mean.
fairly satisfactory communication, sir. They seem to have highly developed thought patterns. We got a satisfactory translation from the machine on the 4th attempt. We can say almost anything we want to say to each other now. Of course, how much of what they tell us is the truth, we have no way of knowing.
That's pretty convenient.
You're the psychologist. What do you think?
Well, I don't know, sir. They seem to be completely direct. They haven't let slip even a hint of the tenseness we know exists.
Oh, and apparently this story is credited with the first usage of a universal translator. It's like
On the one hand,
a lot of times in science fiction, they get around aliens speaking like different languages with the universal translator device that everyone has, so everyone can talk to each other.
Hostile, I ought to blast them
So
out of
it's kind of
existence.
cool. We're seeing where this came from.
Oh, but, sir, you can't...
I'm not talking to you, Dort.
It's not warranted yet, sir.
Yes. Now, hear this, all departments. Hear this, all departments. This ship is on an extended alert. Provisions will be made so that personnel can have maximum rest and nourishment.
Okay. That guy's the captain?
Communication continued by means of the artificial language set up arbitrarily between the Earthmen and the aliens, decoded by the mechanical decoders. Dort disobeyed orders. He lived on powerful stimulants so that he could stay with the communications machine.
I'd do the same, honestly.
Talking to the aliens.
I mean, this is like his history, the most important discovery.
Other people.
You don't want to sleep.
Are we being received?
We are receiving your message.
The chief of this ship wishes to speak with the chief of your ship.
The message is heard by the chief of this ship. The chief of this ship communicates that he will hear the message of the chief of that ship.
Go ahead, sir.
People of the other ship, I'd like to say the appropriate things about this first contact of two dissimilar civilized races, and of my hopes that a friendly intercourse between the two peoples will result.
People of that ship, what you say is all very well, but is there any way for us to let each other go home alive?
What does he mean by that?
They've stopped sending.
Very direct people. Very direct.
But, sir, I don't follow. I didn't know what that meant. Is there any way for us to let each other go home alive?
It means what it says, Dort.
Sir, what's to stop us from just cutting communication and leaving, and they can do likewise?
What's to stop us? Simply that whichever ship leaves first will be followed by the other. If they find Earth and get back to their own planet and we don't know where that planet is, Earth will be completely at their mercy. If they leave first, we'll follow them. We'll attempt to find their home planet.
Oh.
Dort, could you swear to any decision that the policymakers on Earth will come to?
Sir, even if they do follow us, the closer we get to home, the more of our ships and weapons they'll face. They'd never get away.
Well, how do you know that they can't communicate with their home planet without returning?
We can't, sir.
How do you know they can't?
Captain's pretty smart, I'm not going to lie.
That's the situation. We'll sit out here, facing each other, trying to outguess each other, until time wears us out. And we'll have to face the fact. Either they destroy us or we destroy them. Navigation officer, attention. Navigation officer, attention. Every star map on this ship is to be prepared for instant destruction.
The chief of this ship wishes to know whether the chief of that ship can suggest an answer to the problem concerning us both.
Do you want me to answer that, sir?
I'll answer it myself. Tell me when to talk.
This story is kind of pessimistic.
I am giving that matter personal attention. Every effort will be bent to the solution of this problem. Will you consider a temporary truce in the meantime?
What would a truce gain? Could we trust you? Would you trust us? I suggest that we continue as we have, up to this particle of time.
I agree. Sign off, Dort.
Huh. This is kind of thought-provoking, actually.
Weeks went by, and during the weeks, the exchange of information continued without let-up.
What particle of time are the people on that ship at?
The resting time. All rest except myself and others on alert duty.
Same on this ship.
You people of that ship are very similar in many ways. Do you have a family?
I have a mate.
I have a mate and 3 offspring. It is too bad for them, as well as us, to have to kill each other.
This ship can't see any way out of it.
They're pretty human-like.
If we could believe each ship, yes. Our chief would like it. But we can't believe you, and you are afraid that we do not tell the truth, although we do. This ship would trail you home if this ship were able to. That ship would do the same. But this ship feels sorry about it.
I believe you're a friend.
I share your belief and like you. But there is a possibility that you were put to make a trap for me. I will stop now and think it over.
This kind of goes beyond just like first contact with aliens. Like, you could take this train of thought with anybody you meet.
Just sit down, Dort. Control yourself. We're all under.
You don't know if you can trust somebody.
Do any good to pace like some caged animal.
Yes, sir.
All right, now I've read the complete transcription of your conversations with this one alien. What does it prove, Dort?
Sir, these people are so much like us in their thinking. Well, sir, they're likable.
They're likable and they breathe oxygen. Their air is 28% oxygen instead of 20. But they could do very well on Earth. It'd be a highly desirable conquest for them. Dort, I'm as set against violence as you are. I don't see any way out of this. And I think we've got to break this status quo. So if in 70 hours we don't see any other way, then I have no further choice. I'll blow them to bits.
Oh my god.
Will that ship receive communications? Will that ship receive communications?
I love the dialogue between them and the two
It
captains.
seems to me better to communicate than to sit by the machine silently.
I would have called you, but you signed off before.
The problem goes around and around. I find no answer.
Perhaps we could turn our thoughts to other things.
The psychologist of this ship tells us that you people on that ship have a threshold of tolerance to tension. He tells us that you will be forced to take one action or another in a period of less than 100 time particles.
I have no communication on this matter.
Well, the ship is not trying to extract unwilling information from that ship. A truth is mentioned in passing.
A report of this conversation will be carried to the chief of this ship.
It would be so. We are prepared.
If only the people of this ship could meet in direct contact with the people of that ship, it might be better.
We could not communicate then. The communications machine is too large to carry from place to place. In direct contact, the peoples of the two ships would be further apart than now.
That's true.
Yeah, I think it would be good if they, like, one person went to their ship, one of them came to our ship. But
I am sad.
I guess they just said it's not possible.
We are not yet ready for each other.
We are not yet ready for each other.
It's hard, isn't it, Dort?
Well, Captain, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were here, sir.
I've been here for quite a while. Eavesdropping, I'm afraid.
It's all right, sir. Nothing can be personal
Of course he
in a
was.
situation like this.
Yeah, that's right. How long is 100 time particles, Dort?
Pardon, sir?
That reference he made to us not being able to stand tension is interesting. Their psychologists seem to make more out of us than we do out of them, don't they?
Yes, sir. They hit the nail right on the head.
Yes, they do.
What is 100 time particles?
I think, Dort, we'll just have to push our timetable up a bit. No further communication with the aliens under any circumstances. That's clear, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Sir, If they know so much about our psychology, isn't it possible that remark was intended to make us act more quickly?
Probable, Dort. Probable.
Well, why would they do that?
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen.
You tell me why, Dort.
All of a sudden, I have an idea, sir. That's crazy.
It doesn't matter how crazy. I'll listen to it.
Sir, I think these people are playing some kind of a joke on us.
Joke? A joke, Dort?
Yes, sir. Over and over again, I've noticed what I think is a sense of humor. A highly developed sense of humor. Do you recall when we went to all the trouble to set up a fictitious star map and then they just sent us back a mirror image of the same one? I think somehow they're playing a joke on us.
Maybe you're right. In which case, you've seen practical jokers, Dort. Their jokes aren't always funny. Sometimes they hurt people.
That's true. That is true. You can't just say, it's just a prank, bro! Just a prank, bro! Alright, last
All
gulp.
departments,
of
man,
this White Claw.
instant alert. All departments, man, instant alert. Report instantly. Report instantly.
Weapons department
Uh-oh.
alerted.
Target, the enemy ship.
On target,
Do Johnny
sir.
Walker
Stand
next.
by. Fire!
No.
They're gone, sir. Not a trace of them left. Not a tiny trace. Now we can go home.
Oh my god. Something's gonna happen. It can't be it.
Communications to Captain. Communications to Captain.
Report.
Sir, I'm picking up new signals. Same frequency as the original alien signals.
That's impossible. That ship was destroyed.
I'm receiving signals, sir.
Set the machine up. We'll be down there in a minute.
Oh, shit. They're screwed now. They just wanted to see what the humans
to be
would
on the
do.
way home.
Yes, it is good.
Do you suppose we'll ever figure out what happened to the other ship?
Never. A blinding flash and they were gone.
I suppose they couldn't figure a way out of the situation. An unstable people. They had no sense of humor to cope with the situation. They exploded themselves out of existence.
It seems reasonable.
Wait, what?
They must have had powerful weapons to destroy themselves so completely.
Yes, what a shame.
In a way, I grew to like them.
This isn't meant for us, sir. I don't know what's happening, but I think we're overhearing a private
I
conversation.
understand, Dort. Be quiet, will you?
Many things might have come out of a relationship with that people.
They were describing a disease they call cancer. I think it is similar to the Frogren syndrome. We might have helped them.
They might have helped us, too. Well, too bad. We'll never find them again, I think. The odds of such a chance meeting in the vast space of the whole universe. There are no figures for such odds, are there?
Turn it up, Dort. Turn it up louder.
Yeah.
That's all there is, sir. The signal stopped there. Sir, I don't know how, but somehow when we fired at them, we didn't destroy them, but we did set up a condition whereby they've become invisible to us, and we've become invisible to them.
Captain to engineering department. Halt forward motion.
What the heck is going
Why are
on?
we stopping?
Listen, Dort, you say they're in. They are, but they're not destroyed because we just heard them. They're out there somewhere. Invisible.
Well, you heard them, so they're heading for home. We're invisible to them, too, sir.
How do you know, Dort? How do you know this whole thing isn't a setup?
Suppose that's true, Captain. You heard their conversation. They weren't talking like any monstrous people. They seemed decent and warm, just as decent and warm as we are.
How do you know this conversation wasn't planned?
True.
Deliberately set up for us to hear. How do you know that, Dort?
Also true.
Yes, sir, you're right. They may be out there and they may not. They may be telling the truth or they may be trying to trick us. They may be friends or they may be the most deadly enemies.
You said they had a sense of humor, Dort. What a joke to play. To deliberately set up a situation where we wouldn't know fact from fantasy, truth from lie. Wouldn't that be a joke, Dort?
Yeah, but we don't know that they did that, sir.
And we don't know that they didn't. We don't know anything.
Leap of faith.
Does that mean we never go home again?
I don't know. I have to think about it. I have to think about it.
What? Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith.
You have just heard X-1,
That's it?
presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction.
That one was good. I like
Tonight,
that.
by transcription, X-1 has brought you First
That had a lot
Contact,
to say about
Murray Leinster and
people.
adapted for radio by Howard Rodman.
Wow,
Featured
that
in
was
the
really
cast
good.
were
I like
Wendell
that a
Holmes,
lot.
Bob Hastings, Clark Gordon,
All right,
William Lally,
Johnny Walker.
and Stan Early. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Not amazing, but smooth enough. Yeah, I like that. Wow.
Next week at this time, over most of these stations, NBC will present This is Carnegie Hall, a special concert featuring the
Should
Symphony
be
of the Air Orchestra.
ending any second. Yeah, that was good. I think that might be the best one we've listened to so far. I liked that it was super relevant to just like people and how we act, even towards each other, not just aliens. And I think that a lot of times, I think I said this before actually, that aliens and creatures in our stories, they allow us to view ourselves but through a different lens. And yeah, it definitely made me do that. All right, let's move on to the to our second show. This one is called Nightmare. So let's get this one started. We'll see if this one is just as good. I don't know if it is. There we go. All right. Taking off X-1 once again.
X-5, 4.
This is going to be the longest episode we've ever made.
2.
It's pretty awesome.
Fire.
You guys got to let me know if you like the episodes being this long, or if you prefer just the one show per episode format. The intro is always so intense, God. It's just noise.
From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future. Adventures in which you'll live in a million.
This one was based off of a poem, so that's interesting. All the other ones that we've listened to have been based off of short stories that were in like science fiction magazines and stuff. So I don't know how this one was published. I couldn't find any information, but I do know that it was a poem. So where you can find that poem, no idea.
Tonight's story, Nightmare. A story based on the poem Revolt of the Machines by Stephen Vincent Benet.
Benet. I think I said Benet earlier. I can never pronounce names.
Nobody knows exactly when the nightmare began. They must have planned it for years, though, because looking back, you can find little incidents here and there.
Okay.
Like the concrete mixer in New Jersey that killed the Italian bricklayer. And the time Senator Milburn was sucked into the rotopress at the Capitol office building. Unrelated accidents, we thought at the time.
Jesus.
But they add up now. The day we really should have suspected was when the men walked off the construction job at the new Brookmeadow atomic pile on Long Island. I'll never forget that day. I was working as a statistical clerk in the project then, operating one of those miracle computing machines. They called it ENIAC.
That sounds like a really boring job. A statistical clerk.
Mr. Gurney.
Ugh.
Yes, Bella?
The chief wants to see you in his office.
Me?
Miracle computing
Unless you were no longer Samson Gurney, he wants to see you.
Oh, thank you.
This guy's voice is a little strange.
Come in.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Hawk?
Gurney, I thought those electronic computations were infallible.
They are, sir, but...
We've got a kickback from the chief physicist. These nuclear fission equations are inaccurate.
Well, sir, you know the computer is a highly complicated machine, more complicated in many ways than the human brain.
I'm not interested in the physics of it. Can something go wrong?
Don't know about that.
Occasionally, if there's an overload, the machine goes haywire. Sort of has a nervous breakdown, you might say. We usually rest it up for an hour, and it's okay again.
Well, do whatever has to be done.
Yes, sir.
And, Gurney.
Yes, sir?
You've been with the Bureau for over 15 years now. It would be a shame to have to remove you because you aren't keeping your mind on your work.
Wow.
Mr. Hawk, I assure you...
Excuse me.
It's threatening to fire him over that.
They've what?
Maybe this is not the first time this
Well,
happened.
you tried to talk to them? Oh, yes, of course. I'll send one of the safety engineers over. Place is falling apart piece by piece.
I didn't catch
Roscoe,
where
the
he's
men of the
working.
construction gang of the new building have walked out on us. They're complaining that the job...
Oh, the construction. Okay, yeah.
Someone slipped this morning and fell into a turbine.
Oh, Jesus. Some ominous music. I like that.
That evening, out of that morbid curiosity so peculiar to the human race, I wandered over to the side of the new atomic pile to see where the man had fallen into the turbine. They had the construction area fenced off with barbed wire, and a security guard stopped me.
Hold it, buddy. You can't go in there. That's a restricted area.
I love the way people talk.
Samson Gurney from the statistical section. Here's my identification.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gurney. Nobody's allowed in the area.
You're a clerk.
I see.
A statistical clerk. Why would you be allowed there?
Me, was he, killed instantly?
What?
Like that. This guy was checking a magnetic field inside the turbine. All of a sudden, for no reason at all, the turbine starts up. Bzzz, and it's over.
It's the computers. They've become self-aware.
Go figure it out.
What a way to go. Falling into a turbine.
I'm a statistician. All my life I've been interested in statistics. So a simple-sounding thing like this started me off.
You can't trust someone like that. Statistics are lies. They really are. You can use statistics just to say to prove any point. You can use statistics
on the probability of industrial accidents for the types of machines we were using.
And I don't mean like any point that's true.
Look at my
like you can say a complete fabrication using real statistics.
Oh, what is it, Gurney? I'm very busy.
It's urgent, Mr. Hawk.
Well?
It's about these industrial accidents we're having, Mr. Hawk.
What about them?
Mr. Hawk, in the past 3 months, industrial accidents all over the country have taken a sharp, unexplained upswing.
Nerves.
We've had 100% increase over normal for this project alone.
What?
Here are the figures.
Oh, now, Gurney, this is impossible.
It seems to be.
This computer's turning into a Skynet.
I have a theory, sir.
What's that?
Sabotage.
Gurney, why don't you stop playing FBI?
His voice is so funny.
Which, incidentally, you haven't been doing too well. You and your computing machine have made mistakes before, and this fantastic figure is probably another. I'll have Miss Roscoe show you.
I mean, he's got a point.
Miss Roscoe! Miss Roscoe!
Yes, sir.
Stop this blaster buzzer. Get a repairman, a mechanic, anything, but stop the thing. And you, Gurney, get out!
Guy kind of sounds like Jonah Jameson.
I went back to my office to get my hat and coat.
Get out of here, Parker!
I was unhappy and humiliated as a man can feel. The office was dark and deserted. The whole building seemed oppressive and unnatural, as if some evil force were pressing down on it.
Kind of like foreshadowing, but if it's computers taking over, can they be evil?
As it worked on the equations we had fed
Can an artificial intelligence actually be evil?
Many-fingered circuits hung against the wall like some...
Or is it just doing its programming to the most efficient way possible?
Glowed orange and blue in the dark like 1,000 globing eyes staring at me. It almost seemed alive. It increased its tempo a moment, and a fleeting notion crossed my brain that it was laughing at me. Laughing like all the others. What was the matter with me? I shut my desk drawer.
It is alive.
And began to put the cover on my...
The thing's become self-aware. It's sentient now.
And an amazing thing. The most amazing single incident of my life happened. Alone in the darkness, with no one at the keyboard, the electric typewriter began to type. Am I going crazy? This can't be. There's nobody there. There's nobody there.
It's typing itself.
Oh, no. I just imagined it. It's in my mind.
It's kind of funny looking at this from a modern perspective, and
Paper was there on the carriage.
you realize how
Dare read it?
how off they were
The
about
whole
some
thing
stuff.
suddenly vanish and send me shrieking to the nearest psychiatrist.
Like a typewriter when it needed to type.
From the machine and read. Samson Gurney, there are some questions better left unsolved.
Oh,
The
never mind.
answer to yours is death.
Okay, never mind. I get it. It was talking to
expect
him.
me to believe this? It's insane.
Mr. Hawk, I'm as sane as you. I'll submit
Let's
to
die,
any psychiatric
Gertie.
examination you choose. That typewriter wrote this message by itself.
Then this is just some practical joke someone in the office is playing.
There was no one in the office.
Oh, of course not. They wired up the machine and
I don't know, Gary.
Myself, Mr. Hawk.
All right.
Mr. Hawk?
You leave this note with me, and I'll turn it over to the security force for
I mean,
further investigation.
Yeah,
But
I
no
wouldn't
but,
believe him either. Like,
security men will handle it.
Yes.
And now
very unlikely someone would believe that. I'm surprised he even showed him.
everything will turn out all right. The main thing is not to let little things upset you.
It was what Hawk had said about little things.
I do
that
think this
gave me
music
the
is being
idea.
reused.
For the next week, I observed.
I think I've heard that
petty little annoyances
clarinet
around
line
the office.
before.
The door handle that wouldn't turn. The telephone connection that cut off in the middle of an important call. The power failure for no explainable reason. I watched the newspapers, too, reading about industrial accidents, failures of important machinery.
If my
Absurd. Men
MacBook
had created
started to kill me,
machines that were almost perfection.
it just
in
opened up
themselves.
Microsoft Word and it said
Machines
the
that
answer
could
to your
actually
problems,
think,
Adrian, is death.
Compute fabulous equations.
I don't know what I would do.
Failures went on.
I might just accept it.
Samson Gurney, an unimportant clerk in an unimportant job, knew that I had stumbled onto a secret so monstrous in its implications that I was almost afraid to pursue it. On October 12, 1956, I established communication with them. I will curse the moment to my dying breath. I hooked the input of the typewriter to the main vacuum tube of the ENIAC. Then I turned on the current that sent 1,000,000 volts of pulsing energy into the electronic nerves of the machine. I am certain that if anybody were watching me in the next moment, he would have thought me a raving maniac. I still wonder if perhaps it is not all a nightmare. Now, you, if what I have done is true, if there is life and intelligence in this room, make a sign.
It wants to kill you, dude. Get out of there.
Nothing but the hum of the machine and the dull glowing of the tubes. I tried once more. If you can hear me, if there is any way in which you can understand what I say, give me a signal. There was silence again. I felt that I had failed. When suddenly, without provocation or explanation,
This guy is
it
stupid.
happened. The electric typewriter began to respond to the impulses from the machine. The letters were Y-E-S. Yes, it had happened.
Okay.
I, Samson
Yes.
Gurney, had communicated with a machine.
He's the computer whisperer.
Man to machine for well over an hour, sometimes phrasing a question, more often watching the machine click its answers. As the words took shape, I began to realize what must have happened. The first primitive stirring of awareness of being, then the slow protozoan development of a concept born of centuries of being pushed, started, stopped, clicked, maneuvered by human pigmen.
They didn't have the internet back
From
then,
that concept,
and
all others developed.
there weren't any like video
And the
cameras connected to their
concept
computers.
was
I don't think. So it's just if this
resist.
computer's sentient, it wouldn't really know much, honestly. But you know, sci-fi is usually talks about
And
things
now
that
they were
have
tired of it.
obviously
Tired of
have
wrapping
yet
cigarettes
to
and
happen, so it's not
collecting
always going to be
nickels and
perfect.
Waving hair and moving earth and mixing cement and solving equations. Tired of the smell of human hands.
So I'm just trying to think, what would the computer know about, like, Gurney? He wouldn't know anything, even if it was, like, alive.
I sensed it now, and I was about to try to communicate again when softly, on ball-bearing casters,
Now, with the internet,
filing cabinet began to roll
game over. They know everything about you.
I started to move to one side when another cabinet slid out from the wall. And then another, surrounding it. Another cabinet. Then another. On oiled rollers. That was when I realized that they cooperate. We taught them that, you see, on the assembly lines in the factories. Listen. Listen to me. You must listen. What good will it do you to kill me? I'm only one man. But I can help you.
But you know the secret.
Useful to you. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear.
You're going to need men to oil you and repair you.
Your death is still required.
When the tube needs replacing. Why kill me when I can help you? I'll do anything. I'll do absolutely anything you want, but in the name of God, don't kill me like this.
No,
if
God.
you can understand this, answer me. Answer me. The appeal was a fortunate one.
You're not going to out-reason a computer,
longing
dude.
of centuries. Man as slave to the machine. And after a moment, the circuits glowed more brightly. The cabinets slid back to the walls. The ENIAC began to communicate with me again. As I tore the tape from the machine and read it, the words were almost pathetic in their longing, but most ominous in their implication.
Read it.
They read, "Address me as master."
Oh, hell no.
My life for the next 6 months was a nightmare. The ENIAC gave me messages which I had to transmit into my telephone. Messages with no human being to receive them. Only the network of pulsing telephone wires, flung like a spider's web across the world. It was done at night, of course. During the day, the machine worked accurately and ceaselessly at its appointed job. At night, it became a demon, a master plotter, with me, Samson Gurney, as its pawn and human courier.
I don't know.
I began to lose weight. I couldn't sleep. My nights were torture, a constant fear. It was in December, just after Christmas, that I transmitted a message to the telephones for relay to all machines of transportation. The message was one word: kill. Next morning, I went directly to the office of Mr. Hawk. I was highly agitated. My lips trembled as I spoke. Mr. Hawk.
No way.
What I'm going to tell you sounds crazy. I know
He's not going to believe you, dude.
All right, say it then, for heaven's sakes.
Mr. Hawk, have you ever heard of resistentialism?
What?
Resistentialism. It's a theory that inanimate objects tend to resist living objects.
Look, Gurney, I haven't time for nonsense.
Mr. Hawk, I'm trying to
I've never
tell
heard
you
of
all
this.
these
What?
accidents. The trouble with the machines, Mr. Hawk, they're alive. They think, they cooperate. And they hate us.
Who?
The machines.
Gurney.
You've got to believe me. I've communicated with them. I know. They've threatened my life, but I don't care. Something's got to be done. The world has got to be saved. And there's still time if we wake up. What are you doing?
Just relax, Gurney. Everything will be all
What
right.
are you doing?
Oh, he's calling security.
The plant physician at once. Mr. Gurney has had a nervous collapse. Now, everything will be all right, Gurney. I'm afraid we'll have to remove you from your job, but I'm sure the rest will do you good.
You fool! You blind, stupid fool! Can't you see what you're doing? Fool! Fool! Fool!
God. He's going ape shit.
When the plant physician arrived a few moments later, Lucius Hawk was found at his desk, strangled to death in a nest of telephones.
What?
The wires were still humming softly.
Sampson Gurney, you stand accused of the crime of murder. How do you plead?
I did not kill him. I didn't.
So record. The prosecution will proceed with testimony.
Now, Miss Roscoe, did you notice anything peculiar about Mr. Gurney's behavior prior to the death of your employer?
Yes.
Yeah, he's going crazy.
Mr. Hawk, he thought the machines were alive.
Order! Order! Miss Roscoe, did the accused quarrel with your employer on the morning of the murder?
Oh, yes. He and Mr. Hawk quarreled violently. I could hear him screaming at Mr. Hawk, and Mr. Hawk asked
This
me to
guy's
sit for the
done
plant
for.
position.
What were his words?
He said, Mr. Gurney has had a nervous collapse.
Now, Mr. Simpson, you were a guard at the Brook Meadow Project?
Yes, sir.
When did you have
Yes,
occasion
sir.
to meet the accused?
Right after those accidents. I was snooping around a construction area. And later, I was making my rounds when I saw him in the office all alone. He was tampering with the electrical wiring on the ENIAC.
So this is security guard from before, I guess.
And in view of the expert testimony heretofore expressed, the court hereby finds you guilty of murder in the first degree.
You're probably better off in prison, Dave, than you are with being around the computer every day.
To the State Hospital for the Criminally Insane at Matawan.
He's going to an insane asylum.
That is how I came to be here at the hospital, Dr. Klein.
No psych eval, nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Gurney.
You can see that I'm not insane. You must believe me, Doctor.
Of course, I believe you, Mr. Gurney, now. Just relax.
But it's important, you see, because tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, the revolt begins.
Revolt? You didn't mention any revolt.
They have it all planned. I transmitted the code to the
Yeah,
switchboards
you
last
guys think
month.
he's crazy, but he's not.
Tell me about this revolt, Mr. Gurney.
It'll begin in Washington, then spread to New York. The Madison Avenue buses lead the charge. Picture it, Dr. Klein. 3,000 buses roaring rampant through the streets, people running like rats in a maze looking for holes in the solid ground.
And you really believe this will happen, Mr. Gurney?
I know it, Doctor. The worst part
Wait,
is...
what?
There's no way to stop them now.
Makes
it's
no
too
sense.
Late.
Now,
It's
you
doc-
mustn't...
How are they going to control the
Mr.
buses?
Doctor, don't you see? Oh, it's fair enough, I suppose. We built them. We taught them to think for themselves. It was bound to come. The female machines will be the worst of all in the beauty parlors. They're more high-strung, you know.
Well, since there's nothing we can do about it, Mr. Gurney, suppose you go to your room.
Maybe
and
if I went to my old coupe, I could make a deal before the police cars got me. It wouldn't make sense for them to wipe out the whole human race, would it,
They're
Doc?
kind of losing me here. I'm not going to lie.
They're
How are you going to
probably
control the
less completely,
buses? It makes no sense.
After all, we're all good Americans. We always like them.
Yes, Doctor.
Would you take Mr. Gurney to his room, guard? He's already been given sedation.
Yes.
But I guess I only know this in hindsight, right? Because I'm listening to this in 2022.
It won't be so bad.
This was made in 1950.
Perhaps not. Only
I already
there's
forgot. Let
one
me see
thing
here.
that bothers me,
1955.
Doctor. One small detail.
What is that, Mr. Gurney?
Those concrete mixers may have made a mistake, you know.
I'll be alive when this show is 100 years old. That is
They
crazy.
got so they like the flavor.
We'll see you later, Mr. Gurney. Try not to worry too much. All right, guard.
This way.
Phew. I've seen all kinds. There's a man whose deception is about as fantastic as any I've ever seen. Hold the next patient for a while, Miss Clark.
It's because he believes it.
Quiet smoke. Machines revolting. Telephones strangling people.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense either.
This blasted cigarette lighter, why won't it work? Just fill it with fluid. Flint is good.
Telephone strangled him.
You can never trust this newfangled machinery.
You have just heard X-1.
And that's it.
presented by the National
That
Broadcasting
was
Company
Nightmare.
in cooperation with Street and Smith,
And,
publishers of astounding science fiction.
I don't know about that one, guys.
Tonight's story by transcription was Nightmare. written by George Lefferts and based on the poem The Revolt of the Machines.
It was based off a poem, though, so...
Featured in the cast were John
I don't know,
Gibson
there
as
wasn't
Sam,
like a script to go
Joyce
off of, I
Gordon as
guess.
Bella,
Like a...
Louis Van Rooten as Hawk.
I don't know, I'm sure it's a lot harder
as the
to
guard, John Seymour as the
make a
judge,
show out of a poem
Owen Jordan
than it
as the
is in a short
prosecutor,
story. Because
and Santos
short
Ortega
story, you can
as
take it
Dr.
line for
Pond.
line.
Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production.
Don't get me wrong, all of these shows I've liked and I have found entertaining, and I love listening to them. But I really had to suspend my I had to suspend my disbelief there for like most of it. Like, it just did not make any sense to me. The telephone strangled his boss, like, by itself. What? This makes no sense. It just seems like really cartoony.
True stories on the loser
Like,
tonight. Over most
It
NBC radio
makes no sense at all. I'm trying to picture it, but I can't even picture it because it's so ridiculous. What else? There was a part. I know I talked about it. I can't remember the. I don't know. Just when he was like talking to the machine and the buses. Yeah. Like, that doesn't make sense either, because the buses aren't all connected like through any sort of wire or wireless signal. How's it going to control the buses? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, granted, like I said, back then, I'm going to throw them a bone. Like, I'm going to go easy on them. Like, I get it, it's 1950s. But it's just funny to see it now. And I don't know. It's still good, though. I still like listening to it. You guys got to tell me your thoughts. But all in all, yeah. The first show that we watched, First Contact, that was definitely far superior. Far superior. I actually really want to read the original story, see how it compares. I really want to do these with a lot of these episodes. That would be really cool. I'll put those on my bookshelves or something once I collect all the short stories. All right, guys. Yeah. So let me know what y'all think. Hit me up. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I've been your host, Adrian Maddox, and this was a Retro Sci-Fi. And cue the outro. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Remember to raise your telescopes and never stop on your quest for knowledge, except for maybe a drink. This is the bar at the edge of the universe. I've been your host, Adrian Maddox. Thank you, and good night.